All right, as we have talked about, the Omicron wave looks like it's peaked. Peaked does not mean over. There's still a lot of cases going on and a lot of stress as well. So we want to talk now about some new ways to try to keep your kids emotionally healthy and maybe keep yourselves as well. It's called the Sound It Out campaign from the Ad Council. And joining us now from Northern Virginia to talk about it, Dr. Alfiee Breeland-Noble. Doctor, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We do appreciate it. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. Thank you for having me, and thank you for asking.
Yeah, glad to have you here. I was telling you this before in the commercial break, come from a musical household. It certainly helps to soothe our kids in our house when they're upset, but I'm curious to see what this campaign is about and how it can help start some necessary conversations.
Oh, 100%. So our young people are really struggling under the weight of so much that they're witnessing in terms of the Omicron variant itself, and then going back further, just COVID and the pandemic in general. And so because their mental health is being impacted, the Pivotal Ventures and the Ad Council got together to put together the sounditouttogether.org website, where you can find tools for parents and caregivers to help them find ways to open up conversations about emotional well-being and mental health with their young people through the power of music. So that's really what it's about, starting these conversations that we really need to be having right now.
And talk to me just in a little more granularity, how the music helps start those conversations.
Well, 100%. So you have 4 original songs from different artists, different genres. Kamal, Empress of, Lauren Haregi, whom everyone knows from Fifth Harmony, and Toby Nwigwe. And so all of them have put together music that really gives them the opportunity to articulate and musically and artistically express emotions, feelings, the struggles of our young people, as well as ways of coping. And so the idea is, if you could have another way through the power of music, which is universal, right, like love, that you have an opportunity to open conversations with your young person where you don't have to just focus on pulling the words from each other. You can use those lyrics to help you start the conversation. So that's really what it's about.
That makes sense on 2 levels. 1, like you said, music is so universal, and 2, because emotions are the hardest thing to put words to be able, especially for kids, to talk about the complex things going on in their heads. So just in case they have some of those troubles, Doctor, what are some of the warning signs to look out for in case your child is struggling?
Sure, I love this question. So I always talk in general things to look out for and then specific. Let's start with specific. I think if you're seeing your child with crying spells that are unexplained, sometimes kids will talk about death, or they'll talk about, I don't want to be here anymore. Those are signs that you want to pay attention to. Frustration, irritability, like high level irritability. Every tiny little thing sets them off. Anger, these are things you want to look for specifically. More generally, you want to understand your child's disposition. And if you notice that disposition has changed and changed for 2 to 3 weeks, then you want to check in with your child. So those are things I tell parents and caregivers to look out for.
2 to 3 weeks. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of parents and caregivers, we got to help ourselves in order to adequately help them. How can we support our own mental health?
So the first thing I think we want to do is acknowledge that what we're feeling is, we may not always be accurate in our assessment, but those feelings are real. And so we want to pay attention to our own feelings. And what I always tell people is feel your feelings. Don't push them away. That's one thing. Then we want to use what I call active coping. So you want to find things that make you feel good, that bring you peace and joy, and you want to do those things. So find a system of support if you don't have one. People you trust, you can talk to. Get outside in nature, exercise. I practice mindfulness meditation, deep breathing. These are all things that we can do to care for ourselves that are free, they don't cost a lot, and that really help us build our mental health. And the most important thing they do is they demonstrate to our young people what they need to be doing to take care of themselves.
And the other thing that's free, if you have internet, getting right to sounditouttogether.org. That is the website for the Sound It Out campaign coming from the Ad Council. Dr. Breeland-Noble, thank you so much for taking the time to join us with that knowledge today. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure.